When are Newcastle going to win the league? what we guessing?
Wow.
I'm thinking they'll win it by 2026. Four seasons.
How long did it make Man City?
5, I think it was, with Man City. Was it 5? I'm looking at my producer. I'm thinking probably. It was 5. When did Man City win the? How long did it take Man City to win the league when they got the investment? I think it was 5.
I think it was less than that.
Was it less?
Yeah, but they
already had good players.
They also had investment along the way before that, didn't they? They had some bad owners, but that still sort of invested money in that. But yeah, I mean, they'd have to set a realistic target, I would say, of 5 years to get into the top 2.
Okay, that's interesting. I had a massive argument with someone that told me they think they're going to be in the Champions League, so top 4, end of next season. I was like, no chance. Well, you give me that look. You think they can be?
No, I'm thinking, who was that buffoon?
I don't want to out him on national radio. I might do it a bit later.
Oh no, do it. Do it.
Man City 4 years. So 4 years from that massive investment. Man City took 4 years to win the Premier League.
But they already had good players,
and they weren't second bottom of the Premier League when that investment came.
Exactly. And this is the problem that I've said many times already. It's fantastic for Newcastle fans. They are absolutely over the moon that Mike Ashley has gone. That's what they wanted more than anything else. But the situation they're in, it's not easy to just go, right, we're going to buy a whole new team. Yeah. Football doesn't work like that. It has to be done slowly. For me, the managerial position is not the most important. The most important is the director of football, and then whoever is going to be in charge of recruitment. Because if you get those wrong, the managers makes no difference. Yeah. Pep, Klopp, Sir Alex Ferguson couldn't go into Newcastle now and take that team from second bottom to a Champions League position. Doesn't matter how good a coach you are, not going to happen. You've got to have not just the right players coming in, the right type of players that understand the way that you're going to play, that want to be at that football club, and that takes time.
That's going to be a problem, because let's be realistic, with the type of money that they have to throw around, they can attract.
Middlesbrough tried it.
They
back
tried
in
with the likes
back
of
in the
Juninho
90s,
and Ravanelli and all that.
Boxic was on about 65 grand a week, when everybody at Man United was probably earning about 20, 25.
That's going to be the problem with Newcastle, isn't it?
So, and again, what did Middlesbrough do? They got relegated. So it's tough. It isn't throwing money at stuff.
That's very interesting. No one really talks about the Middlesbrough one. No one really talks about it, do they? Emerson came in on big money.
Gascoigne, Merson, Brian Robson was manager. Terry Venables. They had a lot of fantastic players, but it just didn't gel. Didn't quite work.
Yeah, I really want to hear from Newcastle fans tonight. Phone lines are open 03717.
But it's brilliant. It's brilliant for those Newcastle fans.
They must love it. Honestly, they must love it. It must feel like Christmas. It must feel like Christmas. And I think they're going to get their biggest wish. Well, I'll say the biggest wish, the second biggest wish, and that's going to be Steve Bruce leaving the club as well. I don't think he's going to last much longer. I mean, Amanda Staveley went to the training ground, shook his hand. I almost feel like it was a shaking of the goodbyes, basically. Shook a hand of all the players. And let's be honest, a lot of those players aren't going to be at Newcastle in the next 12 to 18 months. A lot of them.
No, it's horrible that obviously Steve Bruce is in a job, and I think he's done a pretty decent job with what he's had. Okay, that with Newcastle fans and we don't play great football.
Finished 12th last season.
Exactly, higher than Rafa Benitez. There's been a lot of injuries during that time. Players with COVID, with long COVID, that he's not been able to pick. I think, Steve Bruce has made a real good fist of things, and he's done a pretty decent job.
Do you think he gets another Premier League job if he leaves Newcastle? Or do you think he goes straight to the Championship? I mean, do you think he manages again?
If he wants one.
In the Premier League?
Yeah, well, I mean, wait. Burnley, Norwich.
Immediately points out to those teams.
Well, but you're looking
at West Brom types that keep going up and down.
You're looking at teams that maybe not particularly progressive, looking to survive. It's no different from Sam Allardyce, Tony Pulis, Neil Warnock. They're going to get certain types of jobs.
Go to put out fires in clubs.
It's interesting when they talk about Frank Lampard as being one of the favourites for Newcastle job. I don't get that at all. I really do not get that.
Is it? He's a big name, isn't he? Maybe not a big name as a manager. He's a big name, isn't he?
He did well at Derby.
Started well at Chelsea.
But they're in a relegation battle. Frank had money to spend at Chelsea. It didn't quite happen for him. I get that he's a big name, but surely if you're going into... If you want to make yourself an absolute powerhouse, you want to go out there and get someone with experience. And Frank's experience is quite limited.
Experience, as well as the fact that they're in a relegation battle. So this is why Conte or Zidane, is there?
And so this is why I think I said this morning on breakfast. If they're going to get rid of Bruce, there's almost an interim position for the next 6 months.
Years. Oh, 6 months,
18 months.
Who's going to leave their role in a job? Unless you're talking about a manager that's without a job. You're saying a manager's going to leave their role. Say it's Brendan Rodgers, for example.
If they get paid,
would Brendan Rodgers leave his job role at Newcastle? Sorry, at Leicester for 6
I'm not
12?
convinced, but
okay.
I don't think Brendan Rodgers is the man to take them to win the title.
No.
Surely you need. I know that there would always be people come out and say, well, people have won you always have to win something for the first time. Yeah, I get that. But if you want to accelerate success, surely you have to go in with somebody that's got not only a winning mentality, but someone that knows how to get that.
Do you do then? Do you do Graham Jones
no.
until the end of the season? No, until the end of the season.
Unproven at that level.
Go on, say it. You've got a name. You've obviously got a name you want to say.
It's not going to happen. But who do you think, if you're talking about being given money to rebuild a team and be fairly instantly successful?
Mourinho.
Yeah.
You're talking Mourinho. I knew I was
But what?
He'll leave Roma tomorrow. Mourinho.
Without a shadow of a doubt. If you give Jose enough money and you allow him to do what he wants to do, he will build you success quicker probably than anybody else.
Agreed.
It will then fall down.
It will fall, but then he's got you to that standard.
And then you can build after that.
Yeah, because Jose's only going to be there for 18 months, 2 years max. And after that 2 years, they're a top 4 team.
So if either Newcastle...
I like it.
Newcastle go...
Sold.
Slowly, and they sort of... they survive this season. Next season, they're looking to finish in the top half, and then they're looking to finish in the top 6. If they want to jump from sort of survival this year to suddenly top 4, I don't see many out there better than Mourinho to do that. You'd have to give him absolute fortunes to buy the players that he wants. But he's one of the only coaches that I think could do that.
Yeah. And he's still the name. He's a Hollywood manager.
He could put a team together next week that would be almost successful. He could do it in the January Toronto window.
I'm not a Newcastle fan. You got me excited. I'm not a Newcastle.
The football might not be brilliant, but they would start winning games. That's for sure.
I like it. Newcastle fans.
I'll probably upset Newcastle fans.
I don't think you have. I don't think you have. Phone line 03717 22 3344. I want to hear from Newcastle fans. If you had the option, would you take a Brendan Rodgers, who's clearly done a good job at Leicester, won the FA Cup last season? Back-to-back 5th place finishes. I know some people say he fell off a cliff on 2 of those finishes and should have come top 4, but regardless, I thought 5th was overachieving for Leicester. Or would you take what Danny Mills suggested, a Jose Mourinho, who is a mercenary for hire, but he's a good mercenary, right, Dan? I mean, he's a good one.
Look at what he's doing at Roma.
Yeah.
Gets the job. He gets the job. Like him or not, like his brand of football, he gets the job done, and he will build you pretty much instantaneous success.
Who's Jose Mourinho? If they were to sign him or get him on board and they were to give him an open checkbook, who's his first signing? Who is that kind of one that goes with Jose? Big bang here, Newcastle have arrived. Who is it?
Oh, I don't know. You're going to.
Sorry, I put you on the spot there.
No, but you're going defensively, aren't you?
He's going big centre back straight away. Or
he's
holding midfielder.
Two proper centre halves in there and going right. Okay, well that's where we build from. Probably a goalkeeper as well. It probably replace 9 of the first team players, which is a gamble in itself, and it's going to take a lot of money to do that. But it's Newcastle fans are in dreamland.
Do you remember when Roman Abramovich took over Chelsea, and Chelsea in that first summer window, I think went and signed like 11. Like they all came. Damien Duff came. All like literally just player after player after player came. Do you think Newcastle are going to do that, where it's an immediate thing, like 11 in, 9 out?
And this depends on the strategy of the sporting director, which has to be a long-term vision of 10 years. You can't just have a 2-year vision. It's got to be long-term. So they've got to bring that into play. You've then got to get the recruitment right. Who you're going to bring, in terms of recruitment. Look at Manchester City. They brought in Tiki Guerrero and Soriano, obviously from Barcelona, before Pep came in to make them ultra successful. So they had a plan. They knew what they were doing. So they had a long-term plan, and then they got their recruitment right and started bringing in players. So that's Newcastle's biggest, not problem, But they're the most important positions that they need to get right straight away. Because if you get the head coach wrong for 6 months, they'll sack him. Chelsea have done it time and time again. They've still been successful.
Works for them.
But underneath that, Chelsea's recruitment policy and Chelsea's directors of football have made sure that the framework, the blueprint, is being followed. So that's why I think they're the most crucial positions to fill.
A text has just come in. Keep your texts coming in. Text us 81089. Mo, a Manchester United fan, says, hello, Newcastle will not do anything like a Man City and Chelsea have done. Newcastle had the money in the 90s and bought the best players and won absolutely nothing. The Premier League is more competitive now and more teams can afford the big fees and salaries. Manchester United in 2013 won the league and since then have signed the big players and tried everything and still not come close in 8 years. Newcastle are starting in an even worse position. Why would Brendan Rodgers leave Leicester City?
But Newcastle in that time had Kevin Keegan that basically just went, don't play, lads. And that's what I'm saying.
He's right, though.
But it was a slapdash attitude of, right, let's just go and buy great players. I won't coach them. Won't know no tactics. Just go and play, lads.
But isn't he right? Because at the top I said, when will Newcastle win the league? And obviously I jumped and said 2025. He's right with the fact that United have signed some of the best players in the world since 2013, paid massive fees, massive wages. They've not come close. So why would Newcastle all of a sudden do any better? But what? Yes, Newcastle have a bit more money, but why? They've had Mourinho, they've had Van Gaal, they've tried this project with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Newcastle.
So who was the sporting director at Manchester United? Hopeless. How was the recruitment?
Not the best.
Hopeless. Since Alex Ferguson. That's why. So that's what I'm saying. Those two roles are the most crucial in the football club. Sporting director with the owners sits down. This is the long-term plan. This is the long-term vision. This is how we're going to achieve it. These are the sort of players that we're going to need. Right, okay, head of recruitment, go and find these players for this season, next season, and then in the pipeline, 2 or 3 seasons down the line, who we're going to be buying at that stage to keep them competitive time and time again. A top coach will go in, and whether it be Conte or whoever it might be, might be there for a year, do great, get sacked, you bring another top coach in. So that's what Chelsea have done over the course of time. That's not the most important role. You've got to have that firm foundation, and Newcastle somehow have got to try and build that very, very quickly.
We are going to touch on Newcastle a bit more throughout the show. Just before we go to the break, though, will Steve Bruce be in charge this weekend?
Yes.
Surely, yeah. 1,000th game, gets his 1,000th game in charge.
It's not about. I mean, it'd be pointless getting rid of him.
Really?
What's the point?
Well,
who's going to come in and change that between now and the weekend? There'll be a massive buzz about the place. There'll be a huge uplift from the crowd. Who are you going to bring in? Who are you going to parachute in with 48 hours before a game?
I don't think that's why I asked. I don't think you parachute anyone in. I think Graham Jones just takes over the role. That's my fault with it.
But he's part of it already. How? It's not a different voice. It's not a different way of playing. You'll get a bounce effect, I think, because the crowd will be up for it.